Hey, welcome to the G.A.C. South Coaches Preview, which was the toughest thing for me to remember about this because the rest of it, I think I'm good. But each year, Brian has been going through these previews, and I feel honored to be handed the torch to go through these. It's a conference I know somewhat well.
Absolutely, yeah. You've been around it for a while.
I know some of these players, but there's a lot, and even going through the different teams, I found there's some I've never heard of, and that's why this is Eric Gough, Coach Gough, in his final year at Zumwalt West.
It is, yep. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, in case you didn't see Baseball 101 with Coach Gough, which you should. I've recommended people watching that a lot because I think there were some things you did in there. Well, it's Justin Schmidt. So I'm youth coach at North Point.
Yeah.
He was talking about culture. I'm like, go listen to what Gough said, what he does, because like it's a lot of experience that you shared there.
Stuff we developed over the years that some of it we tried and some of it didn't work. Some of it we tried and kept and loved it and just kind of shaped who we are.
And who are you? Well, you are a perennial top 10 team, which last year you ended the rankings at 5th in the state at 28-10. So another tremendous year, which I didn't go back and look. I should have looked. It's my fault. But, I mean, you guys have been 25-plus wins for many, many years.
Yeah, I know the 3 years prior we were 30 wins. So, You know, I had a group of those group of seniors were a little disappointed we didn't get to that 30 mark again. But a little bit of an early exit in districts and had a chance to make a little run and get there, but just got beat by a good Troy team late in the year.
I think your team last year was different than some of your previous ones. I mean, it still was defense first, but I think you guys made less mistakes defensively, and your pitching was in the zone because offensively, from looking at the numbers, and it's just not Zumwalt West. I mean, from Howell to Troy to Howell, the amount of kids that had lower averages, I think pitchers, the offseason pitching, secondary pitches, whatever, hitters really struggle. Yeah,
no doubt. It's funny how the pitching and hitting seems like it goes in waves.
Yeah.
Where you have a year with dominant pitching and then the pitching might be down a little bit and the hitters are up a little bit. And last year was just that year where it seemed like around the conference people had arms. Yeah. And, man, you were going to have to work to grind out runs. And when you ran into a pitcher who pounded the zone, and like you said, so many pitchers have in the area have done a great job developing those secondary pitches. And when they can command the zone with 2 or 3 pitches, man, they can make it tough on you.
And Troy did a great job with it last year.
Oh, no doubt.
Zone, and they play well on the turf. I mean, they play to that field well. They stay in the zone, keep the ball on the ground. They easily – I mean, we beat them 1-0 on a bunt. That's
right.
I mean – so anyone in our conference, and that's what – you look at conference records overall, I mean – it's going to be a tough year. I mean, the 2025 year is going to be a challenge, and I will be watching. So
yeah, it's going to be a new seat for you. It's going to be interesting for you, isn't it?
I believe my new seat at the Howell Zumwalt West game, I think I'm announcing that game. Game of the week.
We'll try to keep it enjoyable for you.
I will be – it will be fun.
Yeah.
Could you keep it warm, though?
Can't promise that.
That's early April.
Yeah, can't promise that.
There will be no snow cones in early April.
Bring a tent. So, no snow cones.
Hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So, sorry, we had to get the snow cone talk in there. So, last year, 2010, you finished 5th overall, great year. I mean, you lost some people. I mean, Alagna is a big one. I mean, I love watching him play he's been up since sophomore year, correct?
Correct, yeah. He was a kid that, made our roster as a sophomore.
Yeah.
And then he has been a key contributor for 3 years. So, guys like that are huge losses. And you got, our 3 top pitchers actually with Cole Harris. You got Jeter Roop, Tanner Sullivan, Cole Harris. You got those 3 dogs that just ate up innings and dominated. Every time they were out, they gave us a great start every single time they went out. So when you got those 3 big arms to replace, there's a lot that they left behind for sure.
We'll call them lots of opportunities.
There you go, yeah.
And typically in programs like West and some of the other you have kids that are waiting to get those opportunities, and typically those kids step up and do well. So.
Oh, yeah. And, we feel fortunate this year that we had a lot of kids that juggled with playing time last year that that, kids were kind of in and out of the lineup. We're trying to catch somebody that's hot. We struggled offensively a little bit last year.
Yeah.
Like we alluded to, a lot of teams in the conference
the board,
struggled offensively across the board. So we kind of jostled lineups throughout the year, try to find that magic recipe to get the offense going. But with that, we got a lot of kids that got a little experience coming back. So that's a benefit of that is you got guys that are eager to come back. They've had a taste of that. And, some of those guys were key contributors last year, obviously. And they're looking to come back and make the next step and be those leaders for this 2025 team.
Yeah, I mean, you obviously have a lot coming back. And at the top of the list of returners, Nolan Sism.
Sure.
I was thinking about there have been very few kids that I 25, 30 years of whatever being around this conference that had the 4-year freshman year, sophomore year impact that typically freshman, sophomore, you're kind of like for Titus was just getting in at the 9 hole
Right. Mm-hmm.
and bunted and did enough to play a role within that team that year.
Right.
Nolan's been at front and center since he got there. He was
he came in. When he came in as a freshman, we weren't sure he was going to be a varsity guy or not. We were going to give him that opportunity, like we give all our kids. We're looking for the best 9, and he proved that he deserved a shot. And I did something I thought I never would do, which is put a freshman in the leadoff slot opening day.
Horrible idea.
It's a bad idea. It's you want to put a kid in a situation to be successful.
Yeah.
And
what were you thinking?
And he saw a first pitch fastball, his first at bat of his freshman season, and just boom, line drive to left field right over the shortstop. It's like, well, here we go, and it's never looked back. It's just he's a different kind of player, and it's fun to see a kid with those special abilities mixed in with that baseball IQ, mixed in with that competitive grit. It's just it's really special to have an opportunity to coach a kid like that.
Yeah, he is a special kid, and my son's been hitting with him a little bit, so I've gotten to know him a little bit.
Yeah.
Just talking to him, and he is all those things, but he's also a great kid. He wants to get better. He's coachable.
Yeah.
And he's working. Nate Orff's working with him and some other guys, and I ain't gonna lie to you, the swings I'm seeing Nolan put up.
Yeah. Well, he's a sponge.
Watch out.
He's a sponge, and that's what's great about it. He's fallen in line with guys that were great leaders. When he was a freshman, we had a really strong leadership in Cooper Robertson was a big one. We had Colin Griner. Were just really good leaders that kind of set the tone. And he fell right in line and he followed those guys around. Actually, Cooper nicknamed him Baby Cub. And that's kind of always stuck for him, is just Baby Cub, because he just went right under Cooper's wing, and he followed him around and did whatever Cooper did. And as a coach, you just look at a kid and go, yeah, what Cooper's doing, you go do that.
Absolutely. And that's I hate, no offense, Cooper, I hated playing against Cooper.
Everybody did.
But I loved Cooper.
Yeah.
I would take Cooper on my team in a heartbeat, because that guy is the guy that sets the tone in every way, shape, and form.
100%.
Energy to encouragement, everything. I hated it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate and respect what he brought to the team and to the game. And it was always fun playing West because of guys like Cooper and like that. And it says a lot about Cooper for him to take Nolan, because, not to be dumb, Ty's freshman year was a different experience.
Sure.
The seniors did not want him, and part of it, although Nolan's also his dad's coaching. So,
yeah.
But, Ty had a very different experience where he wasn't as welcome. So for Cooper to take a freshman and do that, it says a lot about just the culture of the program. And
that's what's great about it, is now when those kids pass it down, and you can build on that as a program, and that can be a part of your culture, is those next kids, like last year, it was, obviously you lose a real strong leadership class, and then you come in the next year, and who's your next group of leaders? And like last year, Jeter Roop, Tanner Sullivan, those guys, Nick Alagna stepped right up, and they were just a great group of leaders. And now those guys exit, and here comes 2025, and it's that next crew to step up and lead and be the ultimate, team guys.
And that's Nolan's obviously, the center. He is, to me, the best player in the conference right now. Leo Humbert's good, great. And that's not Leo, I love you. Nothing against Leo, but Leo's right there with Nolan. Obviously, both are Mizzou commits. So we were talking about SEC players.
Yeah, we're talking about pretty good players here.
I would never pick one over the other. Well, I'd have to take Leo because he's it's Leo to me, but
Right, of course.
Nolan, no offense. I mean, I think you're tremendous, but so you have Nolan coming back, which obviously positionally, I think the other part about Nolan is great. He can play
literally anywhere. Literally anywhere. He threw 8-10 innings for us last year in key spots when we got deep into tournaments and competed his butt off. He can catch if we need him to. He's obviously
ERA was
middle
like
infield.
1.35.
Yeah, that's okay.
Horrible.
That's okay, isn't it? And he's a kid that's not going to go out and dominate a lineup, but gosh darn it, he's going to pound the zone.
Yeah.
He's going to mix up pitches, and the ball's going to be in play. So
He'll compete.
if you play good defense behind him, he can be effective. So, and that's it's what we preach at Zumwalt West.
Yeah.
Fill the zone up and let the defense work. Trust your guys.
He's really good at shortstop.
He's really good at shortstop. Yeah, absolutely.
I've never seen him catch, but I hear he can catch.
Yeah, he has the ability. He could have been a starting catcher as a freshman. So he literally, and he can play outfield. He can play anywhere on the infield. He literally can go anywhere.
Well, that will serve him well moving on.
Absolutely.
College, he can find a place. But besides Nolan, and he's tremendous. The other kid that I loved last year was Deverman. Like he competed, and I mean he was a big part. He hit almost 300, which was really good last year. But he's another kid that just competed. And it was tough to get out.
Real high baseball IQ. He's a grinder. He competes hard, plays the game the right way. And it's one of those things that as a varsity coach, you don't always know those juniors coming in.
Yeah.
And we talked to the lower level guys, and Coach Sism, Coach Franklin, who are the JV coaches for Brandt's sophomore year, they said, you're going to love this guy. He plays the game the right way and gets after it. And then the kid gets the opportunity to go play, and he was not an opening day starter. He probably didn't start for the first 3, 4, 5 games, and then finally gets a chance because he kind of got some opportunities and some spots here and there, and goes in the starting lineup. And then once you get him in there, man, he claims the spot, and it was hard to get him out of there because he just does so many things so well.
I think that's hard for high school kids because we're trying to put a starting lineup out there to begin. You head coaches, I'm retired, but you're trying to put the starting lineup out there based on what you've seen. But the other kids, they're going to get opportunities at some point.
They come along, and that's part of the reason we played the schedule we play. You play the Troy tournament early, you play the Midwest Classic. We put a doubleheader in between those when we're limited on pitch counts, and then we head up to Rockbridge and we play 7 games in a week, right in the middle of the G.A.C. conference season, and that provides some of those opportunities where you get a chance, like an Alex Wheeler's, to say, hey man, we need a starter here. Here we are in the Rockbridge championship game against Francis Howell, and the ball's your kid. Here you go get him, pal. And you know what the kid's capable of doing. You've seen him grow. You've seen him develop. But as a coach, you just don't always know how they're going to respond when they get that situation. And when kids step up and shine, it's just awesome to see. And they build on that confidence, not just as an individual, but as a team. And that's just part of that ride, that process. That's so much fun for me personally as a head coach to be a part of that process to help them to try to be successful.
Well, you keep every kid for a reason. Kids, you just don't randomly. And you're trying to get them opportunities and put them in a situation, besides you did with Sism, to be successful.
Right.
That's the goal. So I think a lot of high school kids get frustrated. I'm not starting day one, which I get, and you want that competitive part. But
absolutely.
Any good high school coach is going to find opportunities to see what they have, because I would bet money our opening day lineup for the last 20 years is not the same as our district starting lineup.
Oh, it never is.
It never is. Things change, injuries. So if you're a player out there, be patient. You're going to get an opportunity. Just be ready. Don't sit and pout. Be a good team guy, and those opportunities will come up. So, Deverman was at second. Where did he play last year?
A lot of second base.
Second base, and then Sism was at short.
Yep.
Third base was Alagna, which he's no longer there.
Yep.
So
playing some great outfield at St. Charles, I hear.
Really?
Yeah, I got him out in the outfield a little bit. So he's
versatility.
Versatility, it's a good thing.
So do you have? I'm sure there's some options at third base. Is there anyone
Sure. Corner infield guys. Obviously we got a new guy coming in.
I've heard rumors.
The Pyle kid is supposedly pretty good, so we're excited to see what he can do. He might fit in at a corner somewhere. Benny Mail, Logan O'Laughlin, those are guys that got some playing time on the corners last year that we're looking to get a lot of production out of this year, and we know that they're going to be ready and chomping at the bit to go. So we expect great things out of both those guys on the corners as well. Logan O'Laughlin can play a little outfield too, so we got he had some depth in the outfield, and we got a couple guys coming back in the outfield as well. So
someone told me Michael Wolf also has played infield, or
he's played some infield in summer in particular.
He another freshman that was up last year.
Did a great job as a freshman. Had a great freshman season overall. Pretty kind of that kid that you kind of tried to protect a little bit more. Left him down kind of in the 9-hole most of the season. We kind of bounced him around a little bit when he got hot. We may have snuck him up in the 2-hole a little bit, but kind of stayed down in that 9-hole and primarily played right field for us and just did a great job out there. But he has the ability to come in and get on the dirt and play on the infield too.
I mean, he's got a ton of tools. I mean, I like to swing.
Obviously.
And you can see as a freshman, there's growing pains. I don't care if you're junior, your first year in the G.A.C, it's tough. So to come in as a freshman is very difficult. I thought he did a great job. So I think this year he's going to
make that jump. And that's what's great about having those young guys come in and get that experience as a sophomore or as a freshman. When they come in the next year, you kind of look at those guys and you kind of expect them to play almost like seniors. And
because they have the tool, they have the talent to do it. But it takes more than just talent to get it done.
Absolutely, So when you get that kind of leadership and production and those kind of things, that commitment out of a kid who's a sophomore or a junior who's got that year of experience under their belt, and then they're playing like upperclassmen right out of the gate, it really helps your team. And helps your team win early and build some confidence and momentum early in the year.
So we kind of skipped over, and I will come back to, because obviously Brendan Pyle's family moved into Zumwalt West. That he can play. I mean, again, I've seen he's sitting with Nate Orff and my son. It's like I've got to see him swing. Brendan, your swing's looking good, dude. I mean, saw him swing yesterday. I was like, wow. Like those kids, that kid can swing it. Him and Nolan both are unbelievable hitters, and they're going to do some damage. But I did not know. I've seen him hit. But when I looked at his numbers on the mound, I did not know, just because we haven't played Zumwalt East in many years, but that he started 10 games and was 7-1. Like, he's pretty good on the mound.
That's pretty productive. That's getting it done.
And that's that's with Zumwalt South and that Central Division. I mean, that's good. It's not like he's playing. So I'm sure that's going to be a huge gain there. Talked about the corners. First base, I'm guessing just one of those corner guys will move.
One of those corner guys, absolutely.
Well, with Pyle throwing, it's another one protecting his arm. It might make sense.
Yeah, we'll have some guys that are in the mix in the infield as well as on the mound. Heck, another guy that is going to be very much in the mix is Carter Perry. He was productive on the mound for us. He was productive in the he played some middle infield for us when we shifted guys around in particular, and was very productive in offensively for us. He was a huge contributor last year, and he's going to be very much in the mix of all that, being a key producer on the mound, in the infield, and offensively as well.
Offensively, I mean, he had just under 300, had a great year. So, I mean, he's another one that those type of kids just seem to keep coming through. Well, it might be because literally his brother was just there, but I mean, those type of kids that are just hard-nosed, baseball IQ. It's almost like you develop those type of kids. It's
we kind of talked about on the Baseball 101 was, one, we got great kids. They're awesome kids that have come in with so much training and so much development, and they're kids that have grown up coming to our camps and kind of have a feel for what we want and what we expect. But then just getting them in the program and doing I really do think that having our Monday morning meetings is just crucial to building the knowledge of what's important to us at Zumwalt West. And, you get your freshmen and sophomores to buy in, and then, they go and they get a chance to do that themselves. And then they get to go watch the varsity do it. And, when you have that success, it's really easy for a kid to look at it and say, man, I want to play like that guy. And I want to go win 25, 30 games, and I want to compete my butt off, and I want to go win tournaments, and I want to compete for district titles, and I want to compete for conference titles, and I can see that guy doing it, and I want to go get it done like he is. So when you have that leadership and those great kids that establish that culture, it's awesome, and it's just, my job as a head coach to try to keep it rolling and not mess it up.
And I think that a lot of head coaching is just understanding what you have.
Yeah, sure.
And getting the most out of what you've been getting. Like, you can't expect more than what you got. And sometimes it's just letting them play and have fun.
Yeah, sometimes it's stay out of the way.
Yeah. Let me set the guardrails up and then go.
Yeah.
Because it's not anything we're changing here. Computer almost went away. That would have been sad for me. But infield, while we're finishing up on the infield, any other infielders that's, I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but we talked about all those.
We may have gotten. Yeah, so that's the worst thing I don't want to do is miss somebody.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, it's a good job.
I don't know. So
I think we got them all. A kid like Braden Bass, he was a kid that was hurt most of the year last year. Primarily played a little outfield for us is kind of where he was getting in the mix late in the season. But he can come in and play the infield, and if you look at a regular high school roster, you would go, man, you got 6, 7 guys you can throw out in the infield and say, yeah, we're okay.
Yeah.
So that's a real nice luxury to have, that we have that infield depth, and we have so many guys that are so versatile. Like a Logan O'Laughlin can play first base and outfield. Braden Bass can play infield and outfield. Brant Deverman played a little left field for us last year, played a little second base. Just kind of depending on the day and the lineup of where we're going to get them in the lineup. So you got that versatility. You can move guys around. And part of the struggle is that when you have all that versatility, sometimes it's tough to figure out exactly where the puzzle fits together.
And that's a tough. So center field last year, Whiteside was out there a little bit. Who else played center field?
Siggy played a little bit out there for us last year, yeah.
Which, by the way, thank you for not throwing him more, because apparently he's –
Well, he's a kid that, he hasn't done a lot of pitching at the lower levels, and he's a kid that has really started to grow into his body. And it's awesome to see. Like, we had a conversation with him kind of like, hey, are you going to go all in on this, or are you going to just focus on being a hitter and an outfielder? And, the conversation is like, man, we see that you have the tools. We believe that you can develop this. I know you don't have the experience that a lot of other guys have, but we see the tools that you have, and, projectability, whatever. You look at a guy like him who kind of has that loose arm and just really loose and free mechanics, and you can see, man, there's a lot of life on that ball, and there's a lot of run and a lot of zip that if that kid could learn to command the zone, watch out, he could be really good. And last year, especially for us, was kind of the first year that he made that step to start to command the zone, which just gives you a glimpse of hopefully what we could see this year with how good he could be.
And I've seen him throw a little bit. I've seen him throw. I think one time I saw him throw, and I love the way his arm works.
It's a live arm. It's got great action.
And that's the nice part about high school. And I think that he's a perfect example. Like, kids try to hit as long as you can, like, enjoy it, and then at some point the game will tell you which direction to go.
Yeah, sure.
Like, if you're hitting 400, keep hitting.
Yeah.
But if you're struggling at the plate and on the mound you're starting to move, invest where you can go. And I think, and last year obviously you had other pitching, and he wasn't forced into it, and that's where. So it's beneficial for him, for the team, everything else. But going into this year, he committed to Crowder, correct?
Yes.
So, Crowder, top JUCO around right now. Like, that's a legit JUCO.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to seeing him this year, because I'm sure he's going to take a huge step and be one of your top guys. I think he would compete for the conference, one of those conference games, depending on how he comes.
Yeah.
Until you get there, you don't know. But he definitely has the tools, and, I've been impressed with him, and people I've talked to all say great things about him. So
for sure.
Good luck to him. Which brings, I guess we can go through some of the pitching that's you lost some three of your top pitchers.
Yeah, absolutely. The big seniors. They were horses.
And then Brennan Pyle's coming in that you haven't had a chance to actually coach yet.
Yep.
But obviously his background, he's gonna compete on the mound.
Yeah, we sure expect him to contribute right away.
Yeah.
So he's
I would think.
Looking forward to seeing how good he can be.
Well, I've seen glimpses just I'm like, the kid can play.
Yeah.
And then we talked about Signorelli throwing. Who else do you have?
Well, Perry had a lot of innings for us last year.
Why do I keep forgetting about Perry, man? Maybe I'm intentionally trying to block him out.
Well,
I'm tired of seeing that name from Zumwalt West. Sarter Carter, I appreciate you are a tremendous player. I'm just tired of getting beat by Perry's.
He's just kind of that. He's kind of the guy. He's not going to be the overly dominant arm. He's not going to be an 88 guy, but he's going to go pound the zone. He's going to mix in the curveball. He's going to throw strikes, and he's going to find a way to get you out. That's just kind of the guy he is. So
that works.
He's not like we were talking before the show here, talking about when we went live there, talking about Wheeler and his outing up at Rockbridge.
I blocked it out.
That your guys are coming in saying we should be hitting this guy, but you're not.
No.
And that's kind of Perry's kind of that way too. Like he's the guy that you think, okay, he's upper 70s, low 80s, and it looks like nothing special, but why aren't we hitting him? We're not getting great swings on him. And so he's kind of that guy. So he's not gonna wow the scouts with his velo currently, but he continues to grow and grind and get better. So
and that's what guys that know how to pitch.
Yeah.
They hit that little spurt and all of a sudden they pick up 4 or 5 miles. Alex Bryan was that guy.
Right.
Alex Bryan wasn't a high velo guy, but he had pitchability.
Yeah.
And then when he jumped a little bit and got some velo with it,
Watch
he
out.
became very difficult to hit.
Yeah.
So any of these guys, I mean, you were talking about Perry could pick up 3 or 4 miles an hour and
Yeah, for sure.
be lights out.
Yeah.
And that's the nice part about high school is you don't you get a tryouts all of a sudden you're like, wow, that's
Well, we
different.
got something there. Yeah, a couple other guys, like just looking at your list you got there. Like Blake Keel was a guy that threw some innings for us last year. He's got a chance to make another jump again this year and be a real key contributor. Benny Bowden was a guy that came off the bench quite a bit last year. Had a lot of relief appearances.
Yeah,
was
11
very
games.
effective. Yeah, he was a lot of times that first guy out of the pen. So
I mean, 11 games, 3-1 with a 2.07.
yeah, that's all right. We'll take
That's
that
not
anytime.
bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
and kind of the wild card there that maybe is the guy that's under the radar is the Rolfus kid, Luke Rolfus, has battled injuries every single season of his high school career. But he's not necessarily on a bunch of radars, but he's a 6'3", 6'4" guy who's a high velo guy. He battled through some arm tenderness last year when we tried to get him going live,
Yeah.
and he only threw a couple innings for us last year. And if we can keep him healthy, that he might be one of the surprises of the G.A.C. South, much less the St. Louis area. If we can keep him healthy and he can pound the zone like we believe that he can, he's got some tools, so no doubt.
well, I hope. I mean, I hate when kids struggle with injuries, but
Yeah.
it's nice when they're able to put it all together and then have G.A.C. shock going back a while.
Yeah, sure.
He threw his first game as a freshman start for us. He didn't throw for his sophomore, junior year, and then senior year
He was lights out.
was one of the best seasons I've ever seen. So
Yeah.
it's Luke, I hope you get healthy and you can dominate. So it's tough when that's a long process. And
Yeah.
every time, especially with pitching, it's like, man, I'm feeling good. You get out there and it's like, nah. So hopefully he can put together. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that JV team, or I don't know about your incoming freshman or so, is there any other one that potentially might be up at some point this year that could contribute on some way?
A couple guys. You always look at that junior class. Like last year, our juniors, I think, were 14-8. Maybe one tie in there. So the current juniors, so as sophomores, they had a pretty good season, had a solid season. So you're looking at those guys to come in and make that next step. A guy you looked at that maybe could, like a Dominic Blackston, can come in and contribute. Clayton O'Brien, who's been the starting quarterback there for a couple of years. He's a kid that was a middle of the lineup guy. And pitched a lot of innings. Where he was like a Tuesday, Wednesday guy with the JV last year, so he's a guy that you look to contribute right away. And then we're going to have a mix of other guys that are kind of looking in to cut their teeth and get going, and we're definitely going to need some contributions out of that younger class. And we tell our guys every year that when we start our tryout process, that we go into open gyms and it's a blank sheet of paper. Like I don't care if your name's Nolan Sism and you started 60 games the last 2 years, 75 games last year. It doesn't matter to us. Like if you're that good, well, go compete and earn your spot just like you've done the last couple of years. Yeah. So it's a blank slate that we just we throw them out and give guys opportunities to compete, and that includes everybody that walks in our building, whether it's an incoming freshman like a Nolan Sism or a Michael Wolf or a kid that just jumps off the page. That the guys that I love the most are the ones that you have absolutely no idea are going to compete for a varsity spot, particularly as sophomores. And then they show you something in tryouts and you think, man, we got to give this kid a shot. And then 2 weeks into the regular season, there's no way you're ever going to take him out of that lineup.
Absolutely.
I mean, you look at Nicolagna. I mean, when Nicolaga was a sophomore, he's 5'4" and 120 pounds. And if,
I think you're being generous.
well, maybe so, but
his
you
hands were awesome.
You look at that kid, and you don't see a varsity baseball player until you go get a chance to watch him play, and you go, man, that kid's got some tools, and you give a kid the shot to compete at that level, and you figure out real quick he doesn't have the size or the stature, but he has the competitiveness and he has all the ability, and everybody who comes in is going to have that opportunity at Zumwalt West. So that's what we look forward to.
And that's what the nice part with I always love that part of high school tryouts. There's always someone that you don't expect that all of a sudden they're a key part of the team.
Oh, for sure.
Every championship team that I've coached, been around, there's always a pitcher that you didn't expect. There's always a position player that always, like to me, the 8 and 9 hole is so important to have a guy to embrace that. And I always want to, hey, if you're in the 9 hole, be the best 9 hole here in the state, because to me it turns the lineup over. And
for sure.
I mean, every kids that can embrace those roles are huge parts of the team.
Yeah.
In high school, that's why I love high school, because there's always surprises. There's always kids you don't expect, and all of a sudden you're like, wow.
Where'd that come from?
Yeah. Which is awesome.
And when you get kids like those are the kids you got to have key contributors if you're going to win 25, 30 games. If you're going to make that run into playoffs, you're going to have to get a couple key hits out of those guys that aren't your 3, 4, 5 hitters.
And sometimes it's a key bunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like it's just embrace the role and do that. And that's what I mean. Just looking at your roster, and I've looked at a lot of the rosters preparing for the G.A.C. South coaches preview shows. So
well done. There you go.
I was practicing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to do that more.
Practicing for tomorrow night.
I'm trying, but looking at your roster, to me, I personally think that this roster is better than your roster last year from a depth standpoint. Just comparing the two, I think offensively, I think Deverman's moving forward. I think Perry, didn't forget Perry.
There you go.
Sism. Then you add Pyle and Wolf. Those 5, and again, those other kids that step up and surprise you.
Yeah.
But those 5, that's a deep 5.
Yeah. On paper, you look at the roster this year, and just because we're returning a lot of guys with that experience, particularly on the offensive side, that you hope that leads to more offensive production. And then the big hole to fill is those 3 big starters, the senior starters on the mound. That if you can get guys to step in and fill in those roles, which we've really, those guys were phenomenal. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah.
But if you look at the year prior, Tanner and Jeter were key contributors, but they weren't the guys that were going out on Tuesday and Wednesday.
No, they weren't Deverman.
They weren't Deverman. And then obviously you lose a guy like Deverman, and you think, man,
But that was
how are we going to win that many games again?
The question going into last year was who's going to pitch.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, well, they lost Deverman, they've lost pitching. Like last year is they don't have any pitching.
And then guys step up. They get the opportunity to step up and they compete. And then, now it's just that next wave of those next guys stepping on up, which is going to be fun to see.
And you definitely, with Powell coming in, help Signorelli moving forward, Perry.
Well, part of that too, a couple of guys we haven't talked about that, got Kyle Feisty. He was.
Oh, I asked you about him earlier about Kyle.
Yeah, we were talking about.
That was my fault. I literally one of the first ones I asked about.
We were talking about him in the pregame show.
Because he's also going to Crowder.
Yes, he is. Yeah, that's a pretty good get for Crowder too. So, and he's a guy that, in particular, when you got a pitching staff, to work with a guy like Feisty, that has the experience and understands the game and knows how to work hitters, knows how to work counts, knows how to kind of handle the emotions of a pitcher. A guy like that to help manage that pitching staff is huge. So, and he caught quite a few games for us last year, and we look for him to make the next step offensively and be a little more productive offensively, and then be a great leader behind the plate too. So, he's one that's going to be right in the mix of being a key contributor as well. So, and
that's what that's. Sorry, Kyle, did not mean to leave you to the end. I don't know how I overlooked the catching position, but. Sorry, first time with this G.A.C. South coaches review.
Well, outfield depth, I think we got Braden McCoy, was a guy that contributed out there a little bit last year that, hope he comes on back and makes that next step as well. We're looking for things out of him too.
You definitely have a lot of options. And then, I'll bring up just because I know I've been asked many times, Aiden Hyde did move, or he is attending Zumwalt West. His eligibility is still in Misha's hands at this point. And
Correct.
If Misha deems that he's eligible, then that's another piece that is a nice player, to put it mildly.
He's a player without a doubt. So, but yeah, he is enrolled at West High. Actually, I got to meet him. I actually met the kid for the first time about 2-3 weeks ago.
He's a large kid.
He's a big, good-looking kid, and I was just impressed with just the way he carries himself. And I've only heard good things about him with the way he handles himself in the building and goes about his business. He's a kid that more so for us, for him, I hope he can be eligible to play high school baseball. It doesn't, to me, it does, like you said about kids being injured. You don't want to see a kid miss a high school season because of injury or whatnot. So I hope for his sake he's able to be a part of something. Obviously, it's a big benefit for us if he's able to put on a Zumwalt West uniform and contribute for us, without a doubt. But the eligibility thing is like you said, it's in Mish's hands. Not sure how that's going to work out. But
you never know.
You never know. You never know.
I've seen some crazy things over the years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's what, just as a baseball fan, a kid that's talented this work, you want them to have the opportunity to play.
Yeah,
I don't care. And that's the part that I've seen, different sports, different things, but it's just so hard. You want kids to be able to not miss a high school season.
Right.
Like they don't get that very often. So
yeah,
hopefully that works out. And I mean, that would obviously change the conversation with a lot of things on here, but
sure,
we'll see. I will actually see what happens. But if there's anyone, I'm sorry, but if I miss someone on here, it's my fault. Don't blame Coach Gough.
I appreciate that.
It's all me. So
you got the list right in front of you.
I do. And I'm sure that I'm going to miss people. And I know from watching this over the years, I'm always like, man, you want to make sure you recognize all the kids, and there's always kids you miss. And
well, that's what I love is, just those kids like Nick Alagna. The other one we had a few years back, Patrick Connor was a kid that he wasn't even on our radar as being a varsity baseball player at the start of his sophomore season. Mm-hmm. Has a good week of tryouts. You give him a chance. He's playing a little middle infield, kind of hitting the bottom lineup. You flip him that opportunity on a Saturday to go out on the mound and compete. Competes pretty well. 3 weeks in, you're like, well, I think he's earned a start. You flip him out on a Saturday, and then you're scratching your head thinking, what did we miss? This kid's one of our best pitchers. And then 2 weeks later, he's your Tuesday starter in the G.A.C. South as a sophomore, and as a kid that you didn't even expect to be on your roster. And, at this time of year, I sure as heck wouldn't have mentioned his name in a G.A.C. coach's preview because he wasn't even on my roster to be a contributor at all, and he's our Tuesday guy in the G.A.C. South. So that's part of the fun.
There's so much time between now and then, and that's if you're one of those guys out there that you're like, man, I'm playing for West. My goal is to start this year.
Yeah.
You got December, January, February to put in some serious work. 3 months in the weight room changes things drastically.
Yeah.
I didn't say 3 months taking swings or 3 months on the mound. Get stronger. Like, take this time, because when you add that strength, all of a sudden the bat comes through easier. Everything's a little bit simpler for you. Get stronger. Like, it's important. Obviously, get swings and all the other stuff, but you got 3 months. But, man, I hope you guys have a great year. I'm going to be out. I think Brian told me the first G.A.C. game of the week is West and Howell.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Started with a bang.
I mean, I always look forward to those games.
Oh.
Now I'm really looking forward to it.
For sure.
I will be sitting there talking about the head coaches and the greatness that is you guys.
Well,
and
it's always fun. It's probably a little less stressful on that side of the fence, but
it will.
Yeah.
So after you retire, you come back. I mean, you will just sit and
hang out a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. Grab a couple snow cones and we'll be on our way.
We'll be good.
So anyway, thanks for coming on and doing this. Anyone from Zumwalt West, good luck to you this year. And hopefully you enjoy this last year and they send you out with a nice state championship. No pressure. But
thanks for having us, man. It's awesome to come in and talk baseball, and love the opportunity to come in and chat.
So we'll be back.
All right.
So anyway, you guys have a great week, and we will see you soon.
Thanks, bye.
Hey, 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 hey.